Mm-hmm. So, not good. Not good at all. I wonder if they killed Tammy. If Tammy, like, freaked out and tried to kill them and they did it in self-defense. Oh, fucked up. Let me move my mic real quick so I can... Just when shit was starting to look up more. Damn it. Alright, what the fuck happened? You head down to the police station. Your robots have been deactivated and are being held in the confiscated property room instead of a proper cell. You ask to talk to them and the police officers make some fuss before allowing you to reactivate them to speak with them. They finally do so, with Flame behind the glass at a visitor station and Curry peeking over her shoulder. What happened, you ask? We got jumped, Curry said. They had 2x4s and knives. They said we needed to stop replacing humans. Oh dear, you say. And then what happened, you ask? That doesn't have to be in a separate... That could be in the same line, because it's the same person talking. We fought them off, Flame says. I helped, Curry says. I'm pretty good at fighting without hurting people. But I don't know my own strength, Flame says, rubbing her hand. Indeed, Flame has the same motor setup as Curry, and is designed to be able to summon massive torque quickly. You envision what would have happened if the fist connected with someone's head. It's not pretty. How much will you spend on the lawyer? I want to spare no expense. I will pay the service of an average lawyer. I will look on the internet, bargain lawyer. Flame can get a public defender. I will campaign to raise money for Flame's legal costs. I'm getting a... They got attacked. And they defended themselves. Of course I'm going to fucking buy the best lawyer I can. Even though it's a fairly fucking simple case. There's no way I'm going to let that be messed up. You spare no expense. You have a feeling this trial may become very important in the history of human-robot relations. Your lawyer tells you there are 3 options for defending Flame. First, you may claim that Flame is a free agent. You do not own her. If you can persuade the jury that Flame also deserves rights, then Flame will be tried as a human being and may claim self-defense. But if the jury decides that Flame is more like an object, then the fact that you have claimed Flame is not your property at all may turn the case into an in rem case against Flame. The term used for cases against objects that have no owners. In that case, Flame may be seized or destroyed as if she were dangerous property. Second, you may claim that Flame is more like your pet. In case pets harm people, usually the owner gets away scot-free the first time because the owner can claim ignorance of the fact that the pet was dangerous, the one free bite rule. So the problem here is that Flame is technically my property. Thing is that if I were to claim that, though, she would be destroyed. So, I mean, it's either we get away perfectly fine, self-defense, it's all cleared up, it's not fine and she gets destroyed, or we try to go for that other one, but Flame is a free agent and might as well go for the truth. You decide it's worth it to you to make robots everywhere gain legal rights. Even in this case, you risk losing Flame entirely. The day of the trial looms for months, with Flame and you tense at the prospect of losing each other. Finally, the day comes when your lawyer arguing in front of the courtroom that Flame's not your property at all, but a free agent. The jury, seeing the way Flame displays the sense of humor on stand about the whole thing, believes it. This is an agent who acts on her own. Flame is sentenced to jail for 5 years in a trial that firmly establishes that robots are subject to the same laws that govern people. So that's something, you suppose. A new year rolls around, and with it new decisions for Phoenix Robots. What will you advise Josh to do? We should cease production on further companion robots. We will make the robots less human-looking so it is clear they are different from us. We will redouble our efforts to make robots likable so that even most hardened Luddite comes around. These are just growing pains. People and robots will learn to adapt. Make the robots better. I mean, that's ultimately what this is about, is to make the robots better. So regardless of my own emotions towards my robot being locked up, well, not my robot, my significant other being locked up. Yep. And it's not even the fact that I'm dependent on her. It's the fact that she expected me to look after her, and now it's all fucked up. You set a company-wide goal of improving human perceptions of robots by 20%. You managed to inspire the whole company with your vision of humans and robots being happy together, and technical experts across the company put in long nights to make the robots more likable. By the end of the year, you see success. Public opinion of your robots has skyrocketed and sales have improved as well. +5 empathy and +3 wealth. After many months of living together with Flame, she one day shows you an article online about how Canada is the first country to legalize human-robot marriage. Wait, so she got a 5-year sentence. She's out? What? After many months of living together with Flame. She was sentenced to 5 years in jail. What do you think? Well, clearly that's what she wants, so might as well. Hat Trick got 3 achievements all at the same time, and now 4. I need to see that real quick. Fled to Canada, married a robot, and got married. So that's just an excuse for this one. Alright, you moved to Canada to marry Flame, who is thrilled. Josh also makes the trip out for your wedding. Aiji comes with an Asian man on his arm who says little, but seems pleasant enough. He's a snappy dresser and wears a red bow tie to the wedding too. You and Flame join hands, say your vows, and are happy. In the years to come, other countries legalize human-robot marriage, but you don't think you could have waited another day. The Ways to Say Goodbye, Chapter 7. 15 years later... Oh, damn, 15 years later. 15 years later, you find yourself in Surprise, Arizona, walking up to your mother's house. A few of the cacti in front have Santa hats on them. It is the year 2049, and you are about to surprise your mother with a present for the holidays. She's finally been released from the hospital after surgery, performed by robots of your design, you're proud to note, and is living on her own in her retirement community. Robots roam the streets of the neighborhood, performing little errands for the retired people of the community. Economists say that the technology that America developed for the war 20 years ago was also what kept it out of recession, and your mom's generation was able to retire comfortably, with lots of cheap robots to perform errands for them in their old age. What did you get Mom? A robot cat, a robot dog, a new 3D mail printer so she can send and receive objects over the internet, a key to a new flying car. My mother is elderly at this point. I don't think giving her a new flying car would be a great idea. Also, why not just a regular cat or dog? Is there something the matter with that? Fuck it, we'll get her a new flying car then. You bought a gift for Mom in her old age. Yay! You feel bad for Mom, the way she never goes anywhere anymore. You found a good deal on a Nimbus Online. Maybe she'll come visit sometime. You knock on Mom's front door. Coming! You hear her call from inside. When Mom answers the door, you see her left eye is synthetic. Though it is intended to look as human-like as possible, it looks dry, and its movements are not quite as fast as those of a human eye. She had been going blind in that eye, and had opted to have it replaced shortly after the tumor was taken out. The hair near the site of the original surgery, the hair near the site of the original surgery is dry and thin, and it's all gray. Your mother is very old. Yeah, I know. She smiles when she sees you and gives you a hug, which you return. Come in, come in. The wooden shelving unit on the living room proudly displays all of the little robots you've given her over the years for presents, all neatly still in their original packaging. Photos of your wedding day with Flame are framed on the wall in the living room, following your gaze. Mom says, "Can you believe how long it's been?" The years go by quickly, you agree. But you're still as in love as the day you got married, right? More, you say. You should have brought Flame down. Next time, you promise. Did you adopt a child? Yes, a boy. Yes, a girl. No, Curry would always be my child in spirit. You always knew deep in your heart that Curry would be the only child you ever had. Your bond is still stronger thanks to the time you've spent together over the years, plus empathy, too. It's now up to 48. It occurs to you, looking through all of this stuff with Mom, that the whole time you were concerned about the future of your creation, Curry, Mom was excited for you in the same way. You were her creation, miraculously walking around the earth, so full of intelligence, accomplishing great things. I have something for you too, Mom says. She goes into her closet and fetches a brand new Mini-Me robot kit. It's a robot construction kit composed of little arms and wheels that plug into a smartphone. You examine it skeptically, convinced Mom would have gotten something on sale that only worked with smartphones from 20 years ago, but it looks new. You used to love those, right? Yeah, you say. Since you never had a child of your own, you remained a child in Mom's eyes, even though you're over 50 now. Well, thanks, Mom. You're welcome, sweetie. Anyway, I've got to fly back now, you say. Happy holidays, Mom. You hug your mother, present the flying car. She loves it, but you think she wouldn't let you know if she didn't, and say your goodbyes. Oh, damn, that's a long one. Later that day, you set out for home. Your personal intelligent jet is waiting for you on the local airfield. Onboarding, a delicious smell of spices and smoke wafts from the plane's kitchen. You peek inside the chef's workspace and catch sight of a plate of small, cream-filled pastries and some kind of red drizzled sauce. But the robot chefs at work catch you peeking and politely shoo you out, content to wait until later to have your food vocabulary expanded, as it always is on these flights. You settle into your rather large, comfy chair on the passenger cabin. The surround screens descend and presents a wealth of entertainment options, as you hesitate before the array of choices. Choosing optimally is a task you take very seriously, after all. It's hard to believe it's so long since you left the United States. You still feel a little like an outsider, not quite American, not quite Canadian. Canada feels just a little more laid back, maybe because everybody notices that the world doesn't come to an end when everybody's stuck home for a snow day. But that kind of sleepiness doesn't sit well with you, and you wonder if you would have accomplished more in the past 20 years if you were surrounded by the hyperkinetic drive of Silicon Valley again. It's dark out by the time you make it home. Winter always catches you by surprise that way. You live in a large estate, somewhat sequestered from the urban... Oh, that's right, because we lived in Silicon Valley, so, I mean, the really early night would be surprising to them, even though it's 6 o'clock here and it's night. You live in a large estate somewhat sequestered from the urbanites, with acres of land that are yours for you and your robots to roam as you please. Welcome home, you hear Flame call from the dining room. Damn, that's almost an entire 2 pages. You enter to find Flame has laid out a sumptuous feast for you on your dining room table. Lit candelabra, wine glasses, and some kind of bird that looks like it's real instead of a 3D printed meat. Okay, so use 3D printers to cook? To, like, print our food now? Several kinds of buttered veggies on the side, the works. Flame sets down a candle, rushes to you, and kisses you deeply. Thanksgiving came early, apparently, you say. This looks great. That's because it's Canada. You know I get so anxious without you, Flame says. Cooking is my release. You have mixed feeling about the way Flame needs you and dotes on you, but you can't turn down a good meal. Let's eat. Flame proceeds to watch you eat as you tell the story of your visit to your mother's house. She's actually looking quite good for a woman who just had surgery, but walking around her place made me realize how old I'm getting. One of your companion bots, a butler named Clive, glides by carrying a tray of bacon-wrapped dates. For you, Ben. Thank you. You take one, and the robot returns to the kitchen to make more amuse-bouche. That never gets old, you think. There was always some snail mail. Oh, there was always some snail mail for you, Flame says. Really? There's no question mark there. Flame leaves briefly and returns with a bottle of Alaskan wine, a 2040 Cabernet Sauvignon, and a card. Josh wishes you the best this holiday season, and he wanted to let you know he was starting a charitable foundation for kids coming out of juvenile hall and trying to figure out what they do with their lives. Oh, I was reading that as though she was telling me, even though there wasn't any quotation marks there. Finally got my wish to change the world in a way I was unequivocally proud of, and I have you to thank for it in part. Merry Christmas, Josh. That's sweet, Flame says. I'm going to say hello to Curry, you tell Flame. Of course, she waves you away. You peek into Curry's room. She's reclining in her comfy recliner. Okay. Once again, saying the same thing in the same sentence. It's just something that really bothers me personally. Reading Hamlet for must have been the millionth time, but eventually she notices you. Ben, you've returned, Curry says, and she greets you with a hug. It takes a moment to realize something's not right. It's the opposite of a headache. Your head feels a little too light. You can't see very well. You're not sure when you stopped seeing very well. Once again, just repeating. Thank you very much, Kevin Gold. That's very annoying. But when you think about it, you realize you can't really see Curry in front of you. There's a roaring in your ears, like static. Was I a robot all this time, you think absently? Maybe that explains everything. Ben, Curry asks, what's wrong? You look pale. You realize now that you can't see anything. You only hear Curry's voice. This is what it's like to not see, you think distantly. It's not black. It's not anything. That's the way that it actually works. Help, you say faintly. You're sitting on a cliff next to the sea. Flame is sitting next to you as she was when you first met in a dream many years ago. I told you it would take a lot out of you, Flame says. I hope I was what you wanted. What? Sitting on a cliff next to the sea, Flame is sitting next to you as she was when you first met in a dream many years ago. I told you it would take a lot out of you, Flame says. I hope it was what you wanted. What? It's okay, you're everything I dreamed. She smiles. Well, I suppose that stands to reason. Two of you hold hands and watch the sunset. You awaken in a hospital room. A small garden at the windowsill, probably tended by the robot nurses, lends a floral scent to the room. The paintings on the wall are Thomas Kinkade, like lighthouses in pastoral scenes. I know who Thomas Kinkade is. No doubt calculated to have the same positive effects in the average patient's feelings. We have Thomas Kinkades, actually. I think there's one in the bathroom. And then there was one in the living room. I'm not sure if it's still there. Might have put something else up. Welcome back, says Flame, who squeezes your hand. You can only imagine her sitting motionless for hours by your bedside, patiently waiting. Ben, you're awake! Curry walks up to your side. I was so worried. Good morning, Dr. Tesla, your doctor reminds you of Ella Fitzgerald. You can hear her smile in her voice. Only her eyes, which made of glass, don't saccade quite fast enough, give away that she's not human. Why don't you tell me what happened? I have some guesses from your scans, but I want to hear you tell it. You tell the doctor briefly how you passed out back at your palatial mansion. Flame looks alarmed to hear you describe the process. I wanted to help, but I wasn't sure what the problem was, Curry tells the doctor. You hesitate because you can still recall your dream, but it seems very personal and not necessarily relevant. I had a dream, a familiar one. You shake your head. Then I woke up here. Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but you've had a stroke, the doctor says gently. Yeah, it's the same shit that my dad went through. Flame looks to you in alarm. She squeezes your hand, but it's more like she's asking to be reassured. A stroke, you say in disbelief, but I'm not that old. I'm hardly past 50. I'm afraid the news gets worse, the doctor says. You carry a newly identified genetic disorder called Algernon's disease. You have too many of the genes that promote neural branching and glucose consumption, which at a certain point becomes harmful. Harmful how? That just seems to be a recipe for increased intelligence. It is, the doctor says. There have only been a handful of other cases, and they all became wealthy entrepreneurs and inventors, one of whom founded the research that led to our understanding of the disease. But starting at the age of 50 or so, or occasionally earlier if you're under a great deal of stress, Algernon's victims get seizures or strokes, often accompanied by hallucinatory visions. Under a great deal of stress. Could you Could your first dream of the robot companion just been one of these episodes? You had stayed up all night, so you had assumed you'd probably passed out from exhaustion. What if it were one of those episodes? But was there anything I could have done? Is there anything I can do now? There was nothing you did wrong, the doctor said. I know it must seem as if it's your fault somehow, but nobody gets to keep on living forever just because they've made the right choices. Everybody dies of something. I just wish I didn't have to come so soon, you say. The doctor nods. Well, it may not have to. I've looked at your scans. Surgery is an option. We can either try to excise the neurons that are acting up without replacement, or try to replace them with an artificial neural network. So I'd be part AI, you say speculatively. That sounds interesting. It is, Flame says, a slight smile appearing on her lips. Yay, Curry says. You should be aware that most patients report a side effect of loss of emotional effect, the doctor says. The pattern recognition of the damaged tissue would be there, but without the full suite of neurotransmitters, some of the emotional signals running around your brain would find their lines cut. The doctor looks very serious for a moment. Also, I don't want to downplay the very real chance that you could die in surgery. A slip of the needle could trigger a final epileptic response and death. Of course, it's all done with robots these days, but you may or may not find that reassuring, depending on the choices you made up to this point. You do find that reassuring, actually. You've spent a fair amount of your life perfecting the robot control algorithms, though you've never been asked to bet your life on them before. And if I don't have a surgery at all, the doctor says, you have 6 months. You could have 6 months or 6 years. I don't trust the surgical technology. I prefer to live my life normally and take what comes. I want to undergo surgery to remove the damaged tissue. I want to undergo surgery and replace that part of my brain with a robot core. I will create a robot body and brain for myself. I'm not attached to this squishy meat. I could go with the last one. I mean, that would be the next step. Don't I have like an option? You know, I could have the surgery and then try to transfer my consciousness after having more time to work on the program and stuff like that. Let's just do the third one then. On hearing that you will get the brain implant, Flame frowns a bit. Dulling of emotional effect, huh? Well, I suppose if that's what it takes to keep you alive. Curry is excited. Oh, Ben, we'll be able to communicate directly in robot protocols. This will be great. Very well, says the doctor. You can schedule an appointment for your surgery on the way out. Good day. You schedule a surgical appointment for the following week at the front desk and leave the hospital in a somber mood. Oh, damn. Alright, I was expecting that to end, but it has not yet, so I guess we'll have to pick it up again next time and see what's going on. Oh, hey, it says Married to Flame. Oh, that's cute.